Okay, I am here. Hello, hello. I think this is gonna work. I'm a little laggy today, I think. Hopefully not too laggy, but my computer is having its moment. Okay, let's do this. Let me turn down my music, 'cause it's a little loud for me. Which will probably make it almost inaudible, or yeah, inaudible for everyone else. But that's better than my ears dying. Okay, let's see. So, all right, I've got to turn on my webcam, click a button. Is this that's that one? There we go. So this is what we did last stream. I'm pretty proud of it, to be honest. They're not really. Sometimes I don't really like what I did, but I like this. I thought it added a visual, like, this was too simple, I felt. This added some noise that I think I like. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it'll be fun. I don't know if I'm going to work on this today. I don't think I'm going to much. I'm probably just going to start with some doodles. I might jump back and forth. I might do some rendering, then I'll go back to this, some thumbnails, and then go back to rendering. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping maybe people ask questions or something, and I'll ramble about stuff, just art stuff, how I do things, that kind of stuff. But first, let me do a Blue Sky notification thingy and a Twitter notification, just saying that I'm going live. I'll say I'm happening. I'm painting environments on my live stream. Twitch.tv/JSteeler30. There we go. And then that. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself, narrating my actions. Oh, thanks for the hydrate. My tea actually isn't ready, although I do still have some tea because I made some earlier as well. So I do still have tea. But thank you for that. Hope you're doing well today. Also, I just realized my chat isn't properly functioning. But Chaos Kitsune, hope you're doing well. Twitch.tv/JSteeler30. There we go. There's that. Go live. Set the timer for, I don't know, probably 2 hours. I don't think I'm going to be live. I've been feeling more like the 3-hour streams length. Well, what just happened? I don't know what just happened. I don't think I set how long I was going to be live for. Let's go 2 hours and 5 minutes. There we go. I have not been around in a long time. You apologize. No worries, Chaos Kitsune. It does not matter. Glad you're here today, and hope you're doing well. Hope you've been well. And for anyone who celebrated Mother's Day in any way yesterday, I don't know, is it Mother's Day everywhere in the world? Is that like an international thing, or is that just a US thing? I actually don't know. But hope everybody had a nice Mother's Day if you celebrate it. And if not, hope you had a good weekend. And okay, I think I've got everything, all my ducks in a row, as somebody says, I'm sure. Okay, I'm just gonna paint. I'm gonna play around with colors, and I think that's what I want to do. A lot of times when we've been rambling about colors, I talk about all like the grays and the gray tones. I'm gonna paint super vibrant today. I'm just feeling some bright, vibrant greens, neon colors, some bright colors, maybe multiple splotches of green. I don't know. Of course, surrounded by slightly less vibrant green. Maybe some blues in there. Maybe not that. Maybe some dark greens. Some very dark blue-green. I'm kind of making like radiating patterns, just sort of like here's the green, and then the other green, which is slightly less warm, and then the coolest green is going to be outside. I'm just kind of making patterns. But yeah, hope everybody's been well. if anybody has any art, of course, you're always welcome to share. But I'm just mostly going to be narrating what I'm doing, and unless there's questions or anything, of course I'll respond to anything that people say. But I'm mostly just gonna be putting colors on the page. Maybe these are giant. One of my favorite things to paint is probably like giant trees. Not even probably, it's straight up giant trees. You like the green? Thanks. As you say that, I start changing the colors to be not green or not as green. I'm adding some like, I'm using like the red as like a contour line type thing, sort of scribbling in. I don't want to bring this downward even more. And then maybe we can have like the foreground here. I don't know if we'll have a reflection. I don't know. Reflections are fun to do. I don't know why we would have a reflection on the ground. Maybe something like that. Don't know about that, but it's something. Maybe we get some more contouring shapes. Maybe these are, I don't know, maybe more straight up and down. I'm gonna paint a giant tangled forest. But maybe I wanna play around and do something a little different than I have. Because I've painted a million paintings like this, right? With giant trees and stuff. But maybe in this one, I do something a little different. I don't know, what would be different? Like, shapes that are more above us, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I've done that, too. I mean, I could, maybe what I do... Oh, I have an idea. What if... Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. What if I'm on the right layer? Let's start with that. Copy, paste, there. What if I do... Hello, Cheese A1, how's it going? I am doing well. My day is going nicely. I'm just doodling. Today's gonna be kind of a non-productive day. Anti-productivity, where we get nothing done. Last stream was pretty productive, and I worked a bit on this painting. It's a mermaid. It's a painting for Mermaid. It is an environment painting, obviously. Mermaid being the month of May's sort of monthly art challenge. But I'm only going to do one main mermaid painting, or in this case, merfolk, merpeople. It's not necessarily a mermaid, but they're sea creatures, basically. At a sporting event, they're playing some sort of ball game. Ball goes through hoop game. Put ball through hoop, score points. And yeah, that's what I'm painting. I'm not gonna work on it today, I don't think. I think I'm gonna just keep it the way it is. I might do a little bit of noodling and, like, you know, playing around with colors or shapes and gesture if I want to, you know, change things. And I don't know, I might do a little bit of detailing, but probably not much on it. It just kind of depends. I guess maybe it depends on if, like, it's still the working file, so it will still be here. But I probably won't work on it too much. I'm just going to treat it as a chill doodle day. Just a doodle day. Some foreground shapes. Maybe these are a little darker. Maybe we do some depth of field stuff. We haven't done any of that in a long time. And of course, for those who are, I don't know, maybe newer to art, depth of field just being like, I'm just talking about like blurring the foreground, basically. Where we're looking into the scene is, you know, maybe this, it could be like the background's in focus and everything else is blurry. It could be the foreground's in focus and the background is blurry. Or in this case, maybe the midground's in focus and the background and the foreground are blurry. So maybe we have, you know, big things in the foreground and those have a bit of blur to them. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm just noodling. Maybe playing around with some negative space design where you do like, you know, you're taking this background color and putting, basically punching a hole straight through the tree, or through the foliage. Of course, the silhouette. But yeah, Cheese, hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. And hopefully my stream isn't too laggy. I don't think it's... Nope, I haven't really dropped any frames yet, thankfully. But I'm sure it's just a matter of time. My computer is running out of memory, and I don't know how to free up space without doing some major changes, because I have a lot of free space on my secondary hard drive, but my main hard drive, which is the one that Windows is on, it uses that as like the virtual memory and a bunch of other stuff, and I don't know how to change it. So, and I don't, like, there's nothing on this hard drive because it's only 100 gigabytes. Oh, I am lagging now. It's only 100 gigabytes, which is very tiny, and it's hardly enough to even hold Windows. And so I can't find anything to delete from it. And yet it doesn't have any space at all, and there are certain things that still need it, and I don't know how to change those over. So I'm sure there's a skill issue here, and I'm sure someone more tech savvy than me could explain how to do, like, go into Windows and change certain settings. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit at a loss, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why my computer struggles, because it starts, like, shutting down processes. Also, am I lagging, like, right now? I think I'm lagging. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Hello! Assad Goku, hope you're doing well. Attendance, you are here. Roll call. Hope you're doing well. I think you are good. Good to know. Well, hopefully, I also suspect that, like, YouTube will shut down first. Because I think YouTube has... I don't know. YouTube might be the first to shut down if my stream goes poorly. But I am closing all the tabs that I can. And hopefully if I strictly stay on... I'm good and you're awesome? No, you're awesome. And thanks. Okay, but yeah, hopefully if I stay on this window and this window, then nothing will be wrong. But we'll see. I'm just painting. Maybe this scene will go a little bit like nighttimey, and we'll go a little darker. I don't know. It could go darker, bluer. I think maybe the foreground could be quite a bit bluer. I do want to go vibrant, like saturated colors. And of course we can have some non-saturated colors, right? I think always it's good to have some desaturation. You don't want everything to be cranked up to 100, but you can still have, like, overall the painting can be quite vibrant. And you can get away with, like, quite a bit of vibrancy. I don't know. Kind of trying to push it and see how far I can take it with that vibrancy. But I also don't want it to look like just a simple gradient. So maybe the trees will be a bit reddish. What do you do for a living, Mr. Joe? How do I answer this question? I guess, I mean, I'd say part-time art and part-time I work at, like, a grocery store doing unimportant, unexciting pricing stuff. But, yeah, I'd say part-time art, part-time non-art. About 50-50. And art being both commissions and stream, and yeah, that kind of thing. And technically, I guess there's, like, other tiny bits of income from, like, prints and stuff, but no, basically none from there. But yeah, so about 50-50. I mean, income-wise, it's not 50-50. I make less from art. But time-wise, about half of the time is art and half the time is you know, as far as the things that like have potential to make money. If that's, I don't know. It's always a weird question because like I could answer it from the perspective of like money, but I don't like to do that because that's not necessarily where I'm investing my time or energy or what I want to be doing. And so it's weird to like only talk about that. But also, so it makes more sense for me to answer it from like the, you know, what do I spend my time doing kind of, or like I treat art. I don't know. It's kind of a weird, I'm not great at answering that question because there's different perspectives to answer it from. But yeah, I'd say half art, half non-art. And the non-art's basically there just to supplement my income because it's hard to, I don't want to be in like a constant state of like grinding, of like having to, you know, constantly try to find new things to work on with art and like constantly struggling to find ways to earn money from it. Like, obviously I want to earn money from it and I want to, you know, do that, but it's, I don't want to be in a situation where I, you know, have to take every single thing that comes my way and regardless of whether or not I'm going to enjoy it. And, you know, I don't want to be in that situation. So thankfully I'm not, because I have some supplementary income. Okay, so here's a forest. I like this forest, although the green horizon is kind of weird. It's almost like, I mean, we were talking about alien looking. It's a little alien looking because it's so green, right? It's like a neon green, and I don't know if I like that. We could try just for funsies. We could try like a blue, like a neon blue or something, or not neon, just vibrant blue maybe. Something like that. That might make it feel more misty if I'm not careful. I wonder, what if I take a color like not a glow dodge, an overlay, and just start painting in very heavy-handed with blue and green. Do I like that? Maybe. See, I don't think I like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, now let's add in some color. Like, again, we were talking about vibrant color, but what if I do color like this? Little plants. Little flowers here and there, and here. Little 4 at a time, little dots and blobs. Although I don't want them to be evenly spread, so maybe the foreground needs to have some bigger ones. And these can be a little bit less bright. Something like that, maybe? And then maybe some more back here. Now, if I put red down there, I should have more red up here. I mean, that doesn't have to be this red, but it's a thought of mine, is to put some more reddish tones up there. I'm a big fan of having, like, the color balanced sort of between the whole thing. So if I have some red down here, then I put some red up here. Just to, like, not that way I'm not dividing the painting in, like, you know, different colors up here than down here. It's sort of a nice balance. Hey, Drefzilla, how's it going? Hello, good day. Hope you're having a good day. Hope your weekend was good. Happy Monday to everybody. And those of you who celebrated Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. Why not, though? Well, I think it can just make it look a little bit, like, unharmonious. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's like a rule that you have to. It's more of a preference, but I think, I mean, you've probably seen like the yin yang thing where it's, you know, the idea of, you know, like if you're gonna have all dark over here and all white over here, like maybe balance out by putting a little bit of light over there and a little bit of dark over there, right? It's kind of like that, and not to get like weirdly philosophical or anything, but it's just, I think that's a common thing where like you have, you know, if you're gonna have a lot of one color, you can have a little bit of an accent of another. And if you're gonna have some another color, then have a little bit of the accent of the other, right? It's just kind of, generally you wouldn't want like a, you know, I mean, you can, like, that's a thing that people have done, right? But I think generally you wouldn't want, like, you know, tons of bright colors up here, you know, and if all different sorts of bright color, just, you know, wacky colors. And then everything down here is just like, let's totally different colors, but also like grayer and not, I don't know. I think at some point, and I'm still keeping a value structure that looks good, I just feel like it'd be kind of weird to have entirely bright colors up here and very gray colors down here. Like, generally you have colors bleed, right? You'd have, like, if this were the sky, you would have the skylight shining in here, right? And that would give that effect. Or if you had this, whatever this color was, you might have it reflect into the things up top, and you'd have, like, the color and light bounces and mixes, and it's not, you already have a gradient? Yeah, like, I do have greens up here, but I also can then put some greens down here. Like, I'm also, these are like a blue-green, and so some of that green is down here. It's not like a totally different color. So, like, it may not be the exact color, but that green still is, like, shining down here, right? This isn't just a pure blue, completely devoid of all green. So I feel like this kind of thing feels weird and unnatural. I mean, it's not that you can't do that, but generally you have some sort of color bleed. Again, you could have desaturated colors down here, but generally with the way light works, you're gonna have, like, you know, if it's like a warm light, you're gonna have those warm colors bouncing around the scene. So you're never gonna have a color that is so different than everything else in your scene. Like, it's probably gonna have, like, it's gonna feel like it belongs because the light is gonna harmonize it. If the light is bright green, it's gonna be, you know, harmonized by bright green. If the light is bright blue, it's gonna be harmonized by, like, very rarely do you have non-colored light, non-direct light, and super vivid colors only in one spot, but not in, it's just, you'd have to, like, try to make it look that way, I feel like. So, like, to me, it's like a when in doubt, just mix the colors. I just think it makes for a nice, like, I don't know, from, like, a color theory point of view, sort of balance and, you know, like, big, medium, small, right? You have maybe a big shape, and then a medium shape, and a whole bunch of small shapes, right? So maybe you have a couple medium shapes, and then a whole bunch of small. And that's kind of how I set up my colors, too. If I have a big blob of blue, let's say the sky, I might have a few little smaller parts of blue, and then a tiny, quite a few little tiny dots of blue. Maybe it's like the reflections on the flowers or something. But that's gonna sort of balance out just the amount of shapes. That way you don't just put a big blob somewhere in your painting, like, you know, a big orange blob, and it just stays there. Generally, that orange blob, if it were the sun, it would affect things. If it were something else, like, it's not gonna just exist purely in one spot and then nowhere else. At least that's how I think about it. That's not to say you can't do that, but I don't know. That's my preference. I think everybody probably has a little different idea of how they approach that kind of thing. I don't know if I like this. Kind of wanted to go a little bit more silly, so I might put things sticking out of the trees, like some sort of stones. Or rocks, or, I mean, rocks are stones, but like... You like the gradient? Yeah, no, the gradient, you can keep the gradient, like, from a warm to cool, like, warm up top and cool down below. I think that's fine, but you still want some of the colors to be the same, like, to me, if you take, like, a green... That's not a green. Whatever. If you take this color, you could have the sky be that color and the ground be a purple, but you might get some greenish purple, right? And so this purple is sort of a mix between some of that green, right? So that green's still affecting this color, and you're getting a new color because of it. Nowhere in here do you have that exact color, but it still is like affecting the colors, right? And I think when you just go in your color wheel and pick completely different colors, it feels like the colors aren't influencing each other, because they're not. You're just picking random colors. Now, it might be by pure dumb chance that you have a color that is sort of a combination of other colors, but I feel like that's how you can get some really weird looking color palettes that feel like they don't make any sense, is when you have no, like, there's nothing to unify the colors, right? It's not like you have this yellow bleeding into your new colors. And that's not to say that every color has to be, right? You may not even realize, like, if someone were to look at this, they might not realize that this is a warmer version of whatever I started with. But then if you were to add this, suddenly that makes more sense, because now you have sort of this yellow as the context. Like, okay, that yellow plus this color equals this. I don't know. That's how I think about it. There's a lot of, like, I guess, overlap. I'm rambling. That's what today is gonna be. It's just me talking about stuff and painting and doodling and having a good old time. It's gonna be a lazy day. No productivity. No progress Monday. No, we gotta have a more alliteration. Oh wait, what was the thing? Oh gosh, Taps said it once. Some minimal effort Mondays. That's what today is. Minimum effort Mondays. Something like that. Maybe there's a little bit of blue light shining in there. There could be some animals. Yeah, this painting is very simple. I feel like I've done this basically the same painting before, which is kind of why I want to, like, play around with other things like shapes and scale. And, I don't know. In some ways, I think this stream's going to be just a way for me to, I don't know. I mean, the color cohesion is different than not having accent colors only in one part of the painting. The color cohesion is different than having accent colors only in one part of the painting. Yeah. Right? That's what we want, I think. Maybe I don't understand that sentence. I think that's what we want, right? Is like, we don't only have, like, the reds only in one spot of the painting. Because I think from, like, a design, I guess to me it's very similar to, like, the design philosophy of, like, having repeating shapes. Where it's like, this happens a lot with shapes. Not as much with color, probably, because just the way that I paint, I end up mixing color a lot. But a lot of times when I'm doing environments, let's say you have a really simple scene, like foreground, midground, background, you know, mountains back here or something, and then you have, like, a house, you know, just classic painting. A lot of times I will do something like, I'll put, like, you know, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like big rocks or something, right? And there'll be big rocks back here. These are going to be how I paint rocks. Here, let me just color this in a single value. You know, there'll be, like, big rocks back here. And then you get to the foreground, and there's not a rock in sight. And it's like, why did I, you know, like, did I choose to design my environment, this very rocky environment, you know, all these rocks everywhere. Here, let's make this a little better. This is the worst sketch I've ever done. You know, but, like, why would you... It just feels like a weird thing where it's like the background is one environment and the foreground is a different one. And unless there's some, like, you know, it would make sense to put some elements that's back there in the foreground to kind of tie the thing together, right? That's kind of how I think about it with color as well. Like, you don't typically want, unless it's like a point, like a single blooming flower that's like, you know, the focal point, right? Then I think it's fine to make that specifically different colors. But I feel like from like an overall perspective, I don't know, I don't typically want things in the painting that don't exist elsewhere unless there's a reason. And so, like, if I'm just gonna add a color, it makes sense to add the color other places too. I don't know. I'm not sure if that explanation made any sense. And of course, there's exceptions, right? With, like, again, focal points, with if you have, like, a light right in one spot, it's fine to have that color. Well, even then, that color is going to exist elsewhere, right? But you might have, like, one element, or like a house one place, but not another place. But yeah. I find myself doing that a lot with, like, scenes without any, you know, no trees anywhere in the scene, and then I put a giant big tree in the foreground. Right? And it's like, well, why did I put the tree? Like, where are there trees? Like, why is there one tree in my scene? Kay McKegg, how's it going? Welcome, Raiders. I was just talking about, I mean, first, hello, hi, welcome, and hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, I'm just doodling, taking a break from rendering on this. We did a mermaid painting, or are doing a mermaid painting. And I did a render stream last stream. I don't think I'm going to do any rendering on this today. Maybe a little bit. But mostly it's just a chill stream. Just sketching, answering sort of questions or talking through my process, that kind of thing. Kay McKay, what did you do today? What were you up to? But yeah, we were just talking about, like, repeating the elements in a scene. Because a thing that I've done so many times, and I still do it to this day on accident, is I'll have, like, you know, a desert environment or some environment that is, like, you know, mostly rocks or something, and then there's, like, one big tree in the foreground. It's like, well, why aren't there trees in the background too, right? Like, why doesn't this element exist in a spot that is other than just the foreground? Like, why is the foreground so different in design elements? Or, you know, I'll put the big rocks in the foreground, but there's no rocks in the background. Well, no, you don't have... It doesn't have to be the same. You can still have a focal point that is different, right? You could have a big tree as your focal point. That's fine. And then you don't need a tree in the foreground, right? But if you're designing... At least for me, if I'm designing my environment based on, like, shapes, it's oftentimes that I use different shapes in the foreground for framing than I would use in the background, and it just makes the environment feel like I didn't have a goal. It makes it feel like there wasn't a design philosophy, or there wasn't a theme in mind when I made it. Like, I don't think it's bad inherently. I just think it can make the piece feel like there wasn't really a goal. It's like I was just adding a thing because I needed, or, you know, it's like, oh, I need something to frame the scene. Let's put a big old branch that is gonna be this big twisting vine. And then every other tree in the background is this perfectly straight tree. It's like, well, why is there one random twisting vine to frame the scene? Like, I get it, right? I'm doing it because I'm framing the scene, but why would I have one branch that goes like that and the rest of the trees are straight up and down, right? Like, why don't we have some shapes also that kind of show what that thing is by repeating that shape, right? Maybe we have a tree that goes this way, you know, and now this vine makes a little bit more sense because we have another branch that also does the same thing. So now we can kind of imagine what this branch might be, right? Because, like, you're adding something to one spot, but there's no context for it elsewhere in the scene of, like, what is it, right? Now, obviously, if this is your focal point, you don't need to repeat it, because it can be unique and it can stand out and it can create its own contrast. But I think this is just, like, my personal sort of way of doing it. Obviously, there are people who do it differently, but it's a really, for me, it's a very easy habit to fall into because I'm so focused on doing things for the composition and not thinking about design that I kind of get lost, and I'm not really thinking about the overall like cohesion of the piece because I didn't have a plan to start with. So. K McCaig says, I was working on modeling an interior for a main house in your comic, and then placed some screenshot of it onto comic pages. Oh, that's cool. So is the screenshot of the interior gonna be, is that like part of the process of like, is that part of your process and that's gonna be the final thing? Or is that just like I couldn't quite get from that if that's like a, you know, you did that as like a quick way to do it, but it's gonna not be that way, or is it going to stay? I'm very curious how that works. Actually, I don't really know how people use 3D, to be honest. But that's awesome. I feel like having models of things like an interior would be so useful, because then you wouldn't have to try and remember where everything goes or what it looks like. You build it in Blender, screenshot the angle of the room, and paste it into the panel. And then I sketch over it. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I kind of didn't sound like... It didn't really sound like like, that's the final, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I like the idea of building a little model. I know, like, James Gurney... Also, posture check. Thanks, Artsy. I appreciate it. I know James Gurney did that with, like, his whole Dinotopia thing. He would build the little sets and the dinos, and that way when he needs to reference it, he has his own custom thing, his own custom reference, exactly the way... That way he can make it consistent from thing to thing. Or panel to panel, or whatever you call it. I just figured this. I think there can be storytelling and having a unique looking element in an illustration. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, definitely you can... If it's for storytelling purposes, go wild and do whatever, right? Whatever suits the story. Yeah. In the foreground, it can illustrate the changing of scenery. We were in place A and we're going to place B. Yeah, you absolutely can. Yeah, you can definitely use it for storytelling and things, but I think you still tend to harmonize them in some other way, whether it's through, like again, with color palette or something, right? Typically, it's not just, like, bottom half is one scene. Like, you generally have some, like, you know, the element either... I mean, it could be an abrupt scene, but if it's too abrupt and you don't add enough other ways to, like, tell that story of that change, it's gonna look a little jarring. And again, if that's what you're going for, but then maybe you, like, have another series of images that explain that jarringness. Like, I feel like typically you would need some context. And not always. Again, there's always exceptions to everything. This isn't a rule. This is just kind of my preference to, like, you know, generally think about story in such a way that you have some cohesion. K McCake says, for me, I just do it for modeling, and I will add shading and rendering and lighting of your final look. I have a color, so I mostly do it for perspective setup. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Sketch over with details and then do line work from your sketch. That's awesome. Do you do any shading rendering in Blender, or do you screenshot it from modeling viewport? You just do it for the modeling, says K McCaig. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. I think that's how I would do it too. I don't think I would do like a full render if I was working in 3D. And the few times I have worked in 3D in service of like an illustration, I haven't rendered it out. I just more or less took the model and used it as like a... No, that's actually not true. I have done it for shadow information. With like multiple buildings in a scene and I want to know how the shadows might fall. But I don't do like a full-on like texture and materials or anything like that. It's just basic shadow, lighting, that kind of thing. Really, really simple. I know that question wasn't directed at me, but I felt like offering my 2 cents of how I would do it. which is the lazy way. Maybe not the lazy way, but it's the... I don't know. I feel like for anything illustrative, I don't like the look of, like, if you can tell the person made it in 3D, I don't want that look typically in my final. Generally, I'm sure, again, always exceptions. What am I doing here? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm just putting colors down, by the way. If anyone's curious what I'm doing, I'm just playing. Today is a minimal effort Monday, where we do very little. Maybe we'll make some shapes. Maybe there's gonna be... I don't know. What else do I do? Maybe some greens. Also, hi, Just Fiction. Hope you're doing well today. But yeah, I totally agree there can be storytelling with having, like, if you're going from one location. The way this whole conversation started, by the way, with having, like, you know, elements throughout the painting, as opposed to just in the foreground or just the background or just in the left side or not in the right side. We were talking about color. And I was talking, I kind of brought up how I typically, like, if I'm going to have, like, a color, unless it's, like, a focal point thing, if I'm going to have, like, a color in here, I tend to like some hint of it down here, too. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot, but it could just be a little bit, just to, like, balance out, sort of, the scene. I don't want, like, a really striking color. Like, again, kind of like with composition, right? You don't typically want, like, a thing right at the edge of the painting that would draw attention to itself, but if you put enough of it elsewhere, it's not going to draw attention because it now becomes sort of unified throughout. And I don't know, that's kind of how I've always done color, is if I'm going to put a bunch in the sky, and I can put some down here too. Just a little bit. Maybe not a bunch, but a little bit. And of course, again, always exceptions. But like, unless I have a reason. I think that's the big thing, is like, unless I have a reason to do it, I have a bunch of little habits and things that I will fall back on. Because I find that they generally work. Ooh, what if I do this? I need to head out. Take care, Kamakeg. I appreciate you coming in and bringing your community over. I appreciate it. You personally don't want it to look like I use 3D models all the time? Yeah, that's fair. I see some webtoons where it is fully just 3D model put into the scene, which I get with the tight deadlines, but I really want mine to look like a nice illustration. Yeah, I think that's the way I would prefer it too if I were to do it. But yeah, also, obviously, I understand as well that some people have deadlines or they have different goals in mind or whatever. To be honest, I don't do full illustrations often, but whenever I have done them, they had characters as the focus, so I think about these things a little differently. It's all valid. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't just like, oh, let me put a character... I mean, I think when it's a focal point, right, that doesn't carry through, but that's kind of where, like, color and stuff kind of do, like, or if we're talking about, like, a lighting, color, and mood, you aren't, especially light, like, you're not going to have, like, a blue light that doesn't interact with the rest of the scene. Like, you might have a little bit of light in one spot, but, like there's almost always going to be something that brings, like, the foreground, or that unifies it, whether it's a shape design, or color, or lighting, or something, right? It doesn't have to be any one thing, right? I think that's where the exceptions are. It's like, you don't have to have the same character in the foreground, midground, background, right? But it is nice to have something to, like, unify the scale. It doesn't have to be the same color in the foreground, midground, background, but you still need something to make, you know, it could be lighting direction, it could be materials, it could be something to give us some sort of, like, grounding of, like, again, even just lighting something that's a similar material could explain, like, atmospheric perspective. But if everything is different in each stage, you have no concept, right? Like, it's you have like no concept of how fast things are changing, or I don't know. So I feel like it's very, at least for me, I would have to have a reason why not to do that if I ever wanted to do that. Like, I can't even, it's almost even hard to imagine a scene where you don't have some, like, something connecting the foreground to the midground to the background. Again, it doesn't have to be the same type of environment. You could have, you know, an ocean in the background, a desert in the midground, and a forest in the foreground. But then you're still probably going to unify it in a way. And again, unless you have a reason, unless you're trying to alienate the viewer with a sort of surrealism. Yeah, and then that's a reason, right? And then you have a reason, and so you do it, right? Because you want to do something where that effect gives that effect. But if you don't have a reason, you're going to end up, you know, maybe not the best choice of words, but you might end up, like, having that disconnect, right? So I like, again, there's always exceptions, but I feel like when in doubt, make sure there's some, like, harmony in your painting. I don't know. The rules like that are tough because, like, again, there's always exceptions, but that doesn't mean that you can't create little rules for yourself so that when you are doing things and you need to make a choice, you aren't reinventing the wheel. You can fall back on good practices that do give you good outcomes. And then, of course, you have to try not to do too much of falling back on those habits, because then you might fall into the same thing without ever changing. Check bot redeems, by the way. Oh, pick a color for a thumbnail. Hot pink. Great, thanks. Thank you. I kind of saw it, but then somehow I missed it. Hot pink. Is that hot pink? That's hot pink. Is that hot pink? That's pretty hot pink. Or is hot pink, is that pink? Wait, I don't know what pink is. Is this A or B? What is hot pink? I feel like A is closer to hot pink, right? I don't know what pink is. What color is pink? Like, on one hand, pink is just like that's pink, right? Like, red plus white is pink. So if this is red, that's pink. Hottest of pinks. Yeah, what is pink, though? Like, that's pink. Or maybe that's salmon? Salmon is a type of pink, right? That's pretty hot pink. But isn't this also? I think this is hot pink. I don't even know anymore. I don't know colors. Hey, Joe. Hey, Commissar Skull. Hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comments which one is hot pink, A or B. Or which one is closest to hot pink. Maybe neither of those are hot pink. I feel like A is. Magenta. I don't know what magenta is. I don't know color names. If you'd like... Oh, hex. Okay, you like B. B is pretty... A. B. Wait, what? Whichever. Those are both letters. B is magenta. I think B is magenta. Yeah, that. I don't really know what magenta is, but that does feel more like magenta. What if I did this and just turned this scene, whatever it is, into a hot pink environment? These trees are all... I don't know, they don't have to be trees. But yeah, Commissar Skull, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. We are just doodling today, taking a break from rendering this. This is our mermaid environment. Start a poll. I don't think we need a poll. Hello, beautiful people. Hello, Ronnie the Zombie. How's it going? Okay, let's do... Yeah, hot pink theme. Okay, we're gonna need some white or grays. We definitely don't want it all pink. Working on personal compo. Nice. Okay, maybe balance it out with some blues. Blue grays along the edges here, where the whites are, just to, like, blend colors together. Also, what's going on with my blender brush? Something's broken with it. It's not working. A square chalk brush. Okay, that would explain why. It has no blending feature. Let's do a smudge brush. There, I made some abstract art. Look at me doing all abstract-y stuff. But it looks so good. I'm busy drawing mountains on a map. It's getting so boring, but it looks so good. Ooh, mountains on a map. I could see that being nice for some people. Like, again, very, like, therapeutic, sort of. I think a lot of detailing in art can be kind of, like, meditative. Not for me, but that's what I hear other people say. And that feels like it very well could be that. Very repetitive, yeah. Ooh, I got an idea. What if we go very gray? Seems like something is exploding on magic. Maybe. Maybe. I was thinking like shards of something, like sticking up out of the earth. Then I have to do trees, and then landmarks, and then. So when you do the maps, I assume you go through and do each thing, like, systematically, which I feel like it would make a lot of sense, because... Also, do you, like, come up with your own symbolism for, like, what mountains look like? Like, you know, they're gonna be like this, and then you repeat the pattern, or do you have, like, a variation, in sort of, like, a shape language to have, like, simple shapes? And then, like, for trees, you do, like, what, like, another shape? Do you ever copy-paste? I don't know how you would do trees. I know from plan view, a lot of people, like, in landscape architecture, we would do trees like this for tree shapes, where you can do, like, a pine tree might look like this. Okay, that's not... Basically, you would have your circle, and then you'd go around the circle, so it might look like this or something. And then you would do, like, the branches radiating out to kind of show it's a tree. So a tree might look something like that. Sometimes more simple. You know, or you might have something that's like this. You know, something like that. Maybe you have a few things sticking out this way. So that could be a tree. Sometimes it's just circles. You know, big circles, little circles. You know, you can do clumps of circles where if this is the circle, you can kind of group them like this, and then you erase the middle part, or maybe you keep that middle part and you do some branches there. I know that's a way some people do trees. If you're doing like a big patch of trees, it'll kind of look like that. I'm kind of painting low res here. The tree, these are just branches radiating out, kind of, from the top view. They're just showing that they're sticking out. It doesn't have to be like cake slice. That's just kind of, it's just like a way, if you look at like schematics or any sort of like plan view, and like architecture drawings or landscape architecture, a lot of times you see trees and foliage like that. But yeah, oftentimes you see them clumped, so you see sort of like I'll do it in 2 layers. And I realize I'm painting randomly on the background as purple, but you can ignore that. You know, sometimes you'll have big and small trees like this, and you'll have a cluster here. And then from here, when you do like the detail, that'll be the first pass to figure out what kind of tree and how big they're going to be. Then you might do something like this, where maybe these trees are bunchy. You know, maybe there's bunches like this. But then in the middle, you might do like something like that, kind of just like to round it out. And then maybe, yeah, maybe here you'll add some just like branches and stuff in the middle to kind of show something like that. And then you'll delete that layer and you'll have something like that, sort of. I don't know. Stuff like that, kind of. That's a way. That is one way that some people do trees. But I always wondered if that's how you do it on maps. Probably not, right? That's probably too... I don't know. It probably looks too weird. Looks like a cake diagram. Fair enough. Here, let me look up. I'm just gonna do. A planting plan. Image. See? So it's like a planting plan of what kind of tree. It's a way to keep things consistent. So like these trees are the same as these, or probably because they look the same. And then you can keep things, they're sort of like you'd have like a legend sort of. And then you'd show, this is obviously like student work, I think, probably. But yeah, you'd have like, this is from the side of what it would look like, and then this is from the top view of which things go where, so that if you were actually planting them, you could, right? So you can kind of see how like they've merged these shapes, even though there's clearly 3 of them. And then these, they did not merge. These, they merged. Basically, if they're touching, they'll merge them because it looks better. But sometimes they'll do overlapping, like this one. It overlaps these, which is kind of a different way of doing it. So there's different ways of like doing things from the top. Anyway, I've always liked that. It's kind of a fun way of doing it. That was just a random image from Google. Looked like student work. I just designed to leave shadows and doing trees. True, that's something that this one didn't have, and that actually was kind of a weird. I guess maybe because it was a planting plan. But oftentimes when you have, like, here's another one, which is, again, this is like a schematic for landscape architecture. They do end up just coloring a big block in with like a big marker for the shadow. Although it's weird that their shadows are that angle. I don't know. Anyway, but maybe this it's like that. No, I don't know. Wait. Oh, I'm dizzy. But yeah, that's like another way of doing it. Again, you can kind of see the same sort of trees. The big trees, they all have the dot in the middle. It's very, very simple. I think this one's ugly. I feel like this would be a bad grade. It's very sloppy. Look how sloppy these lines are. Okay, anyway. Whoever did that was in a hurry. Generally, they're not that sloppy. Even when done by hand. Like, here's one that I thought... Or I'm just looking on Google Images. Like, this one looks much nicer, right? But even in this, see, this is like you can see in the grass, like they do like a pattern because it looks cool. I don't know. But then you have different plants and trees and stuff. Anyway. So yeah, there's something. Okay, back to hot pink. I just designed the leaf shadows and then been doing trees. Oh, that's smart. So you're just doing the shadows on the ground? Oh, that's actually really smart. Is perspective drawing taught in landscape architecture? Yeah, kinda. Like, super basic. It's basically like very formulaic. Like, this is how you set up everything, and then you just do it. And it's like paint by numbers, but for perspective. There's no like change perspective. There's no mood and like storytelling, right? It's not like if you want the thing to feel grandiose, do something different than if you want to, you know, have it feel small, right? It's here's how you do it. This is the, you know, this is the architecture way of drawing in perspective. You know, you always put the horizon line at this spot. You always do it this way. And it's kind of like, you could probably, you know, take a class where they teach you to do it, and you could, in 30 minutes, you would be drawing in perspective. But it's like, you wouldn't be able to make choices around it. It's more of just like, this is the industry way of doing it, right? It's not like, when might you choose to do it differently? They aren't going to teach you that. That's more of an art thing. So, yeah, they do teach a little bit, but it's very basic, and you don't... And I think nowadays, probably no. I would imagine everything's just computer. Like, I would be surprised if anybody did stuff by hand these days. But I don't know. I don't know what they do in architecture school anymore. Okay. Whatever this is not appealing. Let's paint something. Top-down trees don't match with side view cat ear mountains. Oh. But yeah, no, it makes sense to have, like, I could see you doing trees like this on the top view, but then if you wanted, you could also have, like, the shadows be the thing that makes them look like trees, kinda. You'd have, like, the shadow shapes. Because from the top view, it might look like this, but the shadow is gonna look, you know, different. See, that's something that, like, I never even considered, of, like, having different shadows for different trees. Like, one tree, the shadow might look like this, and another tree, again, we're gonna make it slightly different, because I just want to show it's a different tree, right? And another tree, the shadow might look like this, because it's a different kind of tree, right? This one might be a very round tree, this one might be a pointy tree, and so you can kind of tell that, like, this is a pine tree or whatever. Again, trees wouldn't technically be straight from the middle like that either, but I don't know. I never even considered that. It would make a lot of sense, though. You posted the photos of your screen in work in progress and sketches. Ooh, let's take a look. Let me take a look. Let me open up Discord real quick. One moment. Ooh, okay, I like it. Ooh, oh dang, those mountains. Oh boy, those are so detailed. Those are beautiful. Oh wow. Okay, that's way more effort than I would put. But yeah, that's gonna be a gorgeous map when you're done. Maps are cool. You just didn't feel like taking screenshots? No worries. But yeah, here, let me show you guys what Ronnie is showing us. Oh wow, that's a massive image. Look at this though. Look at those mountains. Those are gorgeous. You have the shading, interesting shapes, they're all unique. No copy pasting can be found, or none that I can see. Yeah, that's cool. Very, very neat. Okay, back to hot pink. I'm just making big abstract shapes. Which will eventually turn into a non-abstract shape as I make it slightly less, or slightly more detailed. This is a giant rock sticking out of the ground or something. A giant hot pink rock. Maybe not a hot pink rock. I don't know. Could be a hot pink rock. It could also be like giant mountains that are just super pointy, and so maybe the scale is like insanely large. Since we were talking about mountains. Like what if all of this was like a mountain range? I don't know. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. The trees you might do copy pasting, but for now you have a rough idea for the trees. Yeah. I could see it. I think if you can get away with copy pasting, I think if you still have like enough variation. Like, isn't that what I know a lot of games do that with sounds, where like they'll have like, you know, instead of one sound for, let's say, chopping wood, like a clunk every time that axe hits the tree, they might have 10 sounds for chopping wood, and they just cycle through them or randomize them. So each time you chop the tree, it's still the tree chopping sound, and your brain kind of just understands that those are all the sounds, and they're all close enough, but they're all subtly different, so there isn't that, like, that noise repetition. And I know, like, things, you know, you'll do that with textures and backgrounds and stuff, where if you have, like, you know, certain number of like cubes that you're gonna tile, you might have 10 or 15 of them, and then you more or less randomize them. But it just to help break up that visual repetition. So that's a thing that happens, I think, all over, both in audio and visual and all sorts of stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with reusing assets or shapes or designs or whatever. But I can understand from like an illustration point of view, it might not be super appealing. Okay, this is their hot pink environment. It's some clouds over here. I like how right now it's hot pink, but it's slightly becoming less and less hot pink the more gray and shapes that I add to it. Okay, now I'm gonna add multiply. What if I multiply the hot pink? What's that do? That's too dark. Okay, that's way too dark, I think. Maybe? Or is it? I think that's something. Don't know if that's a good something or a bad something, but it is a something. There, that is, yeah, that's something. Don't know what it is. I'd say it's okay. Yeah, I think that's not bad. That blue can come in here like a fog. Actually, I really like this. This is a neat color palette. We have that balance between the hot pink, the super saturated, but also lots of like this grayish blue. I like that a lot, actually. It's almost like when you set random restrictions on yourself, cool stuff can happen. Actually, this can maybe go like that. This almost looks like a weird, like, angled water scene. Like, it kind of looks like a water scene, in a way. Like an iceberg or something sticking out of the water. And then this is the water down here. But if that's the case, then it's at a very weird angle. I mean, maybe not. That does look awesome. Then again, your stuff always looks awesome. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you think so. I don't know about always, but I appreciate the kind words. It's me rejecting compliments again. Don't mind me. Okay. I think here maybe I don't know if I kind of like the shape, the cleanliness of the shape, but also I kind of want to play around with the shapes. So maybe these are more jagged back here. I don't know. I'm not even sure what this is. It just is kind of some sort of environment that's hot pink. Or has some hot pink. I kind of like this going like this direction. Sort of Ooh, what if we do this? Okay, hold on. I got an idea. So in the middle here, it could be like the focal point. Like not a caldera. That's more like, that's not this, but like a little area where like down here you have like a lake or something. Right? Like a little area down here. Or up here, I guess. And this is like surrounding. Now, I don't know what's going on here. Is this the ground? I don't know what any of this is, honestly. I feel like it's weird that there would be land here. Anyway, it's kind of fun. I'm very confused by what I'm painting. Like, I don't like this bottom shape here. Pink crystal mountain. Yeah, but like, what's happening here? Like, because I definitely have like a circular shape going on, right? But then I don't know what's going on down here. Caplocks, how's it going? So like, I don't know what's happening down here. Like, do I just make it like misty and the ground fades to blackness and we're like up on a cliff? Maybe I put some sort of path down here to like, you know, you could kind of imagine yourself walking along here, along the hot pink path. And then there's like another path, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there. Probably not gonna have that. Caps Lock, hope you're doing well. Thanks for the compliment. Or, I guess, kind of words, not really compliment, but I don't know. I think it's a compliment. I take it as a compliment. Good, thanks, how are you? I'm doing well. Today's kind of a minimal effort Monday. That's what I'm calling it. That's not my wording. I didn't come up with that, but it's a kind of like a lazy Monday. I have a painting that I was thinking about working on today, and this is from last stream, and I really like it. I like the direction it's going. I definitely am gonna finish it, but I didn't want to work on it today. Paint a character in the foreground on the right side, just don't think about the background anymore? Maybe. You mean just like a... But that's the thing, I don't even know how big the character would be. I mean, the background is the environment. Like, that is the character. I'm thinking more about the composition, and I don't know how to bring our eye in. Like, is that the foreground? Maybe that's what I do, is like a of road. Like, I'm trying to think, I'm thinking more about composition, and I'm not thinking about it as a background. I'm thinking about it as, like, how do I, like, not make it fall off the page? Right now, the whole thing is yeah, right now the whole thing is it feels like very lopsided. It feels like it's, you know, coming off the page this way, but there's no focal point, there's no like main area, and that's what I'm kind of trying to do is like, how do I, you know, maybe I do like a little rocky structure jetting out that's kind of in the foreground. Yeah, maybe that's what we do. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. That's kind of a weird shape, but you know what? Maybe like that. Something like that. Just some overlap shapes. I guess if I had lighting and shadow, it could help. Maybe we do something like this, where we take... I mean, this is going to look really stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway. No. Maybe? Nope. I was thinking, what if I added like a light coming in here that lights up some of this, but then this stuff casts a shadow over here also? So like there's a shadow here. Kind of reminds me of like a conch shell, like a seashell. You know, like this is the opening of the shell, kind of like this is the pointy spot, and then this is the middle of the shell. Kind of, doesn't it give you a little bit of those vibes? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm painting. We could definitely make a seashell out of these colors, and it would work. I don't think I want to do that. No, this works. I don't know. That'll work. Yeah, maybe we do what non-fiction, just fiction said. Yeah, what if we just put some characters in here? We'll just make some character. There we go. Boom. Characters. Done. Their adventures. This one's a wizard. This one's a very... I don't know. Also wizard. Bunch of wizards. Maybe this one's a knight or an archer. They have a staff. They're a mage. There. But they need a light. The wizard's gonna have a light on his staff. And this character is going to have a torch. He's your adventurer. Your joke was drawing a big character in the foreground to cover up the part you don't know what to do with. Oh, gotcha. I didn't realize that was the joke. That's like the equivalent of when you don't know how to draw hands, you just put them in the pockets of the shirt. Or you draw oven mitts on them. I personally prefer the oven mitt method. You just stick giant oven mitts on people. Every character has to be wearing oven mitts. That's how I'm going to do this scene. You're just going to have... It's going to be a bakery. It's a group of bakers in the scene. So you'll have a character here. And then instead of... they'll just be drawing, or they'll just have their oven mitts here. So every character is going to have oven mitts. Like that. That's basically how it's going to work. That way I don't have to draw hands, right? No hands here, just oven mitts. This character, also oven mitts. More oven mitts. Also, I'm using an airbrush because, I don't know. There. That's how my character's gonna look. Every single one of these characters, oven mitts. But I don't know how to draw hands. So yeah, that's something. Definitely not actually doing that, but it is tempting to avoid drawing things when you're not good at them or when you aren't confident. But also, I think if the good way to do it is just to lean into it. Force yourself to do it. Force yourself to draw a whole bunch of characters with hands, and then you'll get better at drawing them. At the very least, you'll learn some quick sort of shorthand for hands that will work. But yeah, Just Fiction and everybody else, what have you guys been working on? And does anybody have any art you want to share? I know, Just Fiction, you've been working on the Bowser piece, right? The Doom, Mr. Doom, that's not his name. The Doom guy, Doom Man, and Bowser. I don't know the Doom guy's name. I'm sure he has a name. How to make yourself hate art and get good in the process. By forcing yourself to do things that you aren't good at? I don't know. I'm the opposite. I mean, I've said this a lot, but like, I don't always love doing art, but I do always like having done it. I get a lot of sort of fulfillment from having done it. And I think when I do force myself to do the hard stuff, like draw a bunch of hands, but it's for a piece that I actually want to make. Not just as practice, but like, you know, I want to do this piece, but I'm going to do it anyway, and it's going to have a lot of hands, but sucks for me, right? I don't necessarily love doing it, but I'm always very happy that I did it. I'm like, oh wow, I actually did learn a lot. Like, those are the times where I see the biggest improvement, and it kind of pumps me up and gets me wanting to do more art because I actually saw improvement. Whereas if I just spend time doing things that I'm good at, or that I think I'm good at, then I look back and I don't see any improvement, and then I get sad, right? So it's like, I actually get more... I get more, like, of a boost and motivation and sort of inspiration when I do the hard stuff, even though I don't always love it in the moment, right? I may not be painting with a smile on my face, but at the end, I'm like, wow, I learned something. I don't know, and that to me makes me like more fueled up, kinda. I don't know, but it still takes a ton of energy, right? It takes a ton of energy, takes a ton of motivation to like get the courage, or not the courage, but like get the inspiration to like do the hard thing. So I definitely default to the easier stuff, you know, quite often, but I am generally quite happy with myself when I do the harder thing. Just Shaken says, my mental health's not been great, so I've not actually worked on anything in a while. I did a couple of ballpoint pen studies, if you'd like to see them. I would love to see them, but that's about it in the past 2 weeks or so. Yeah, no worries. I don't think we need to be always doing art every minute of every day or anything. I mean, obviously, I actually don't know. I think you've said this, I can't remember. Do you do art as your job, or what do you... I'm not necessarily asking what you do as your job. That's not super important. But I am curious, like, because I guess what I was gonna say was, I feel like people, too often, myself included, or just really the art community as a whole, always has this, like, we always seem to, like, forget that we're allowed to do art as a hobby. And, like, There's nothing wrong with like, oh, I don't feel like doing this thing today or tomorrow or the next week or two, and it's like, oh, that's fine. When you do it, you know? Like, that's how it should be, kind of, is you should do it when you feel like it. And if you're not in a spot where you want to do it, or maybe you do want to do it, I guess that's the worst, right? Is when you do want to do it, but you feel like you can't, or you don't have the energy or something. That's hard. But I don't know. I don't feel like anyone should ever feel like they have to do art. You worked as a storyboard artist for a few years, hated it, got burnt out, and some comic gigs in between. Gotcha. Okay, I kind of feel like I remembered you saying something like that, but I couldn't remember if you still did that or not. I always thought it would be cool to be a storyboard artist, but that's also me having no idea of their day-to-day work, really. You don't have a job right now, you're looking to get back into art jobs, to be honest? Gotcha. You're not looking forward to getting back into art jobs. Oh, interesting. Ron Raid, welcome in, Ron. Wrong? I just called you wrong. That's not right. Wrong. Ron. How's it going, Ron? Ron, what were you up to today? And would you like to share with the class what you were doing? This isn't a class. I'm just painting. So for those who are just coming in, I'm doing a bunch of random environments because I'm taking a break from this scene, which is a mermaid environment piece that I'm working on, but also has a lot of characters and lots of hands. And it's going to be quite the detail undertaking. You just ended your freshwater biome and started our Bloomspan biome. Ooh, that sounds bioluminescent if I've ever heard it. Maybe not. Bloomspan? That sounds like a blooming flower bioluminescent vibe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not bioluminescent. Ooh, this is cool. Wait, these are ballpoint pen? What the heck? Also, I love the ginkgo leaves. Those are ginkgo leaves, right? Ginkgo biloba. The good old ginkgo plant. Ginkgo tree. And a lizard. I love these. These are great. These are awesome. This is our apex study for freshwater, the king anaconda. Ooh, let me take a look. Let me take a look. Yeah, Just Fiction, that's awesome. I love those. And thank you for sharing. Okay, so here's Ron's work. Ron just rated us. That is a big snake. He looks like a big snake anyway. Your apex study for freshwater, the king anaconda. And so this is in the river, right? That's why the river is a bit more brown. That's cool. Also, I like the eyes. Very, like... That's fun. I like this a lot. And also all the other fish and stuff swimming around. Lots of detail. It's a very big snake. It's a very, very big snake. River, lake, the brown, the tannins of decaying leaves. Flashlight eyes. Yeah, flashlight eyes. It looks like it's like a searching thing. Like it's, you know, like how scuba divers will like go down and look on the bottom of the ocean or on the bottom of rivers for random stuff, like salvagers and stuff. It's like a... It looks like it would be hunting, but it's looking for stuff. Do snakes see very well, or do they mostly feel? I always heard that snakes feel with vibrations more than they see, but I don't know if that's true. And I feel like the sources that I got that from when I was younger probably weren't very reliable when it came to animal knowledge. But is that true? People who know about snakes. And don't they taste like they smell with their tongue? Is that what they're doing? I don't know how... I honestly have no idea how snakes work. I am so clueless when it comes to snake biology. I should probably read a Wikipedia page and get some basic some bare basic knowledge. I've seen video of snakes that do not like Markiplier. I don't know who Markiplier is. I know the name. I couldn't tell you a single thing that he's done or what he does. Thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well today. Let's fill in the background with this purple. And then we're going to bring that purple down to the shadows. I like the colors here. But yeah, I'm kind of just painting, just blobbing around. No real goal in mind today. Just having fun. Willing to answer questions about my process and thought process and stuff. He's a big YouTuber, has been a variety YouTuber. Yeah, I think I knew that. I just don't really know what, like, I don't know. Like, what did he did he get famous for a specific thing? Has he done things that, like, I might have heard of? I don't know. Like, I know he's a big name and he's a YouTuber and he does stuff, but I don't really know what. Like, he's a filmmaker, actor with Iron Lung. Okay. Interesting. I feel like I've probably seen a video from him or something, but I wasn't interested enough in it to keep watching. So it's just like, yeah, I think there's a lot of YouTubers like that where I've seen them, but I'm like, I don't really get it. And then yeah. Although I will say, for a name that I've heard of for a lot, like I've heard of his name around a lot, I feel like I have never heard of, like, big controversies and stuff, so that sounds like it's probably a good thing, right? I feel like a lot of YouTubers, I only know them because of controversies. I feel like with Markiplier, I don't know him for anything, which feels like it's a good thing, because you don't know him for, like, all the drama he's caused, right? Like, I don't know what. I feel like that's gotta be a plus side, right? Okay, what am I painting here? Just a bunch of spikes? He's pretty chill. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm painting here. You know what? Let's paint. Let's do this. Let's add some more horizontal shapes. And then we'll put those. Yeah, don't know what I'm painting, just making shapes that are fun. Same with Jacksepticeye. Also don't know who that is. I've heard the name, but couldn't tell you a single thing about him. That's how I know that I get sucked into, like, YouTube drama and stuff, is that I only know who the people who have had, like, random controversies. All, like, the chill, normal people, I couldn't tell you a single thing about them. Because they're just, like, off doing their own stuff, being, you know, normal content creators. A different angle, too. Almost a different season from the pink one. Yeah. So I want to change it up by adding, like, a more of a ground plane. It was getting a little too close to the pink one. Ronald, you said, or Ronald picked a color for a thumbnail. Ooh, we got a hex code. Perfect. Also, thank you for the follows. Hope you're all doing well. Okay, we got a hex code. Let me, how do I... Oh, what? I did not mean to do that. How do I... Oh, I do this. Double click. There we go. Paste. You picked a yellow. Is this the color just a bright yellow? And I don't mean like demeaning, right? Not like just a bright yellow. There. Expand our canvas. Just a bright yellow. That's it? Just kidding. No, it's a good color. It's a good color. Like with anything, I can't just paint with one color. I gotta add darker versions or lighter versions. Typically when I go darker, if it's warm, I'll go a little cooler. Maybe a little gray. We're doing a lot of gray because gray is just an easy color to darken something with when you have like a gray in the opposite. So in this case, it's like a gray purple. Streamer bullies chat members over color choices, right? No. Color choices are good. All of them have been good. Any color is good. There's not a single color that is, like, better or worse than another. They're all equally good and they can all be great. All can have strong moods. Yeah, they're just nice. It's nice to paint with different colors. Maybe this one, because it's yellow and I associate yellow with, like, flower fields and, you know, just different stuff. Maybe we do this. We're gonna make stars. Star shapes. In perspective. Not real star shapes, but just scribbles. There. That should be a cool shape. Boom. Yellow. Just like that. The only problem with this is that I kind of made it... Here, let's do this. Let's move this upward. We'll go some bigger shapes that'll break the silhouette. I'm just making big star shapes, basically. And maybe this shape will go very, very saturated. Or not shape, this color. But not too dark. I wish the sky would have stayed yellow. We could maybe make the sky... So, I kind of like the sky not yellow. I mean, we could... If we could make it yellow. I don't know. Maybe a little bit yellow. I'm not sure. No, you do you. I mean, I do like it yellow. But generally, because I don't have a strong light source right now, I kind of thought the sky would just be blown out in white. Because we're looking down and we're looking into the environment that is clearly being lit by, like, ambient light. Now, if we add... like a lot of shade and a lot of shadows, which is maybe an option. So maybe I do this. Maybe I do a multiply layer. And I'll do like a light purple. We'll do something like that. And then the sky can be more yellow now. Something like that, maybe. So we have, like, this lighting effect. And then in here, now, because we have these new colors, this is, like, the color of the plants, or whatever we're drawing, presumably some sort of flower, in the foreground, right? But in the shadow is, like, this orange. And then that same plant in the light is going to be very, very yellow. So we have these big old bright yellow shapes. Just random shapes here. And then more shapes that are orange. More big orange shapes. Again, I'm not drawing like every flower in. I'm just kind of slapping in these colors. Big blobs. Maybe some yellow here. I don't know if I actually want these yellows in the foreground. They might be too contrast on the edge. We'll see though. I like these colors though. They're pretty nice. So now we have that sense of light and shadow. Different materials being affected. I like that. That's a nice, solid, just, you know, mood painting, if I do say so myself. I'm pretty happy with that anyway. We got a nice mix of like these grays and these saturated colors, but then we have the very bright colors. Just adding a lot of little blobs here and there. You've been playing too much Farming Simulator. That looks like a nicely row-planted field. It does. It does look like a nice planted field. Really unusual colors. Yeah. I think the grays are nice. I think they add a nice subtle color variety that isn't too overwhelming. But yeah, this definitely looks like these very tidy and orderly painted or planted flower fields. And maybe we have a few more rows back here of light off in the distance, in the horizon, or not in the horizon, but just in the distance. And maybe some plants. We'll put a tree line back here. That's something you do see with fields a lot, where you do have a row of like a skyline of, you know, trees in the horizon. Again, you do kind of fall into that thing of like, okay, well, are there only trees in the distance? But I think in this case, the field, it does make sense. There, I like that. That's a solid thumbnail. We could do something similar, actually, with this one. Where we bring in, like, a... Hey, Joe, drawing some tulip fields? I don't know what color, or what type of flower. We just some sort of fields. It's kind of fun. We just made some rows, some simple color gradients, and then I added like a shadow over the top of it. And then we made these stripes, basically. And yeah, it's pretty chill. But today's stream is just kind of low energy. It's I'm sort of building up the mental capacity to finish or continue painting on this. This is our mermaid piece that we're working on. We worked 2 streams on it so far, and it's a long way from finished. But I want to do like all these characters, and they're not going to be super hyper detailed or anything, but just have enough of them in enough of a pose and enough design figured out that they're, yeah, just like these people are playing some water sport. So I got a lot of work to do on this, but I'm taking a break and just painting just playing around with colors, doing some quick thumbnail sketches. These have been color redeemed. So this one was a hot pink color redeem. This one was a bright yellow, and I'm just taking those as starting point and then just painting something random. But yeah, Chrissy, how are you? How have you been? Hope you've been well. Okay, I think for this one, I want to, yeah, what if we add some fields or something here? So, like, maybe some light right in here. So I'm pumping up the saturation, adding, like, a bright yellow or something. Just kind of plopping in the light. You know, maybe some flowers in this area. I don't know. And then maybe we do something similar that we just did last time with, like, a darker color. I don't know, maybe not. Actually, we probably don't need to do that. I don't know. You alright, says Chrissy. Monday morning at work was insane, but it has slowed down now, and I'm currently trying to get your study done. Nice. Well, as always, when you do finish one of your studies, and if you'd like to share it, I'd love to see. All of your studies are always super inspiring. For those who don't know, Chrissy has been doing, as far as I know, a daily study. And every time she shared them, I have been so blown away and inspired. It's just phenomenal. She's killing it. Okay, I need a good color. Not a good color, just any color. Any color is good. Grays, greens, a mix of gray and green. I don't know. What if I just take a bunch of color? Just random saturated colors, and I mix them all together. And then I take that random color, like this grayish color. Well, it's just a gray. Okay, that's extremely uninteresting. I don't know. I'm not sure what color. We had two good color redeems. Brown. Brown's a good color. We have, I mean, brown we have in, like, all of these paintings, right? Like, this is a brown. Right? That's the orange in this painting is brown, right? Like, we literally have brown. We could do more brown. We could go like a warmer brown. Like that. But that warm brown could also be that same orange. Also, I just realized is there any scenario where the sky is darker than the environment? At night, and when you have light on the environment, like a light, like a lamp. So yeah, you can have darker in sky. I mean, generally the sky, if it's at night, generally the sky is still lighter than the surrounding area. But if you actually want to have an image that doesn't suck, you're probably going to need an artificial light. Like, technically you could still have an environment like this. And then the sky would light all of this. And it would basically be the same or slightly darker. So you could still have a light like this, and the sky is coming from the you know, like this would be a scene at night, where you just can't see much, right? And you get a little bit of moonlight, and you get a little bit of light in here maybe. So in this case, the sky is still technically like nearly the lightest thing. But generally speaking, if you're gonna have a scene like that at night, you might have like lights off in the distance, right? In which case the sky is not that, you know, the sky isn't terribly bright relative to the artificial light, right? Or you might have the foreground light like a, you know, like a car light or something shining in here, you know, or something in the foreground, right? And again, you have other light sources. LMFAO meant to say, color redeems are out of stock. Oh, are they? I didn't realize. I didn't realize I set a limit. But yeah, you can. So when you set up an environment and you have like 3 or 4 values, something like this, and you do like a medium, a bright, medium, or something. Like generally you see a lot of stuff like this where you have like a darkest foreground and then light background. This classic sort of foggy forest environment. Where you have like small trees back here, bigger trees up here, biggest tree, big old tree up here, right? So like foggy forest, a classic, light to dark gradient, just atmospheric perspective, that kind of thing. You can reverse that, right? I don't know why I made trees. Trees was the worst example for this, but you can reverse this. You don't have to have the same value structure. You could have the darkest structure, darkest thing back here, lightest in the midground, and then darken again in the foreground, or medium in the midground. Like you can arrange your scene however you want. But generally these are gonna sort of, you have to have like a, either certain materials or certain lighting scenario or something to like make these sort of feel right, because your natural lighting scenario isn't going to give you that effect. This is going to be like lights coming from off screen or something at night, and it's illuminating a hill here, and so everything is sort of lit around here, around the light. Foreground still dark, background still dark, but you have like this midground light. That might be a nighttime scene or something. The mural said, "Brother, sorry for disturbing you, but would you like to listen to the beat which we had created?" I would, but not on stream, I think. Because my sound volumes are all out of whack due to me using my desktop audio for stream. But you're more than happy to share the things you've made. You can either drop a link in here on YouTube, and I'll listen to it after stream, or you can drop a link in Discord in the art section if you want. We do have a Discord. I can grab that for you. I don't know why I put all caps there. Let me copy paste that. I think this link will work on YouTube. I actually don't know how YouTube works with links, to be honest. Let me know if that worked. Glowing river sticks in the dark underworld. Yeah. So you could have, when it comes to value structures, a lot of times it's like unique lighting scenarios or unique materials. Different materials can add, can make some very interesting value structures. If you had like a pure black, reflective surface or something, and then you had characters with candles in front, or you had a white material in front of a black material, but with dim lighting, you might get the illusion of a pure black background, right? You can definitely have, I think some of my favorite things to do is like use basically all mid-tones, basically all shadow, and then you use like a light glowing things, like like you said, a glowing river sticks or something, where you have like glowing shapes, or the opposite, where you have like a bunch of light, just like a normal lit scene, but then you have these dark shapes, like pure black, sort of like a black material in your scene, like an obsidian or something, or some sort of very dark color. I always think that's neat, because it's just a little bit unusual to see when everything else is otherwise sort of lit. So maybe you have light around here, all of this stuff is being lit by something. So it's not just like, oh, these things are in shadow, but these things are just dark, whatever they are. Maybe you have light back here still. Sky is still illuminating the scene, but for whatever reason, it's not illuminating these things because they're just dark objects, maybe in the shadows or something. And that's always fun too. So there's a lot of different ways to arrange values. I think the main thing is you have enough overlapping shapes that you can tell what stuff is. Yeah, I mean, you can get away with a lot. Latest video? Okay, here, let me pop onto the YouTube thing and I'll see. Do I see it? I don't see it. Did you link it? I don't know. Maybe is my YouTube auto filtering it? It might filter moderation activity. Is there a way for me? I don't actually know. If you posted it, if you posted any links on YouTube, I don't know. I don't see them. It's possible it filtered it out. I don't know how that works, to be honest. I don't see it. If I do find it, if it's in Discord, I'll take a look after stream. You know. Okay. But yeah, I think when it comes to value structures, though, in painting, like, you can get really simple. Even the most simple things can be quite interesting, I find. Okay, there we go. And I think it's also quite interesting how many different scenarios use the same structures. Like, underwater scenes also using, like, a very similar to just, like, a foggy forest. Like, very, very, you know, different scenes. One's deep underwater, dark shadows, but it's basically just a soft ambient light, where wherever the light source is, whether it's far away and above or it's localized, either way, the light, it basically, things just get darker and darker as they get further away from the light source, which is kind of a neat thing. Okay, what am I doing here? I don't know. Also, I should probably get up and go start my kettle because I am out of tea. I was gonna get tea before stream and then I kind of didn't because I already had a little bit and then I forgot to refill it. So I'm out of tea, which is a shame. So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get up real quick and let me turn off my cam. Not that it's a big deal, but there we go. And then I'll be right back. I'm gonna go start my kettle. Okay, I'm back. Was not very far away. Okay. I return with some painting. Or return to some painting, I should say. A true shame. What is a true shame? That I turned off the cam to stand up? I don't know. I only do it because people can change the scenes and stuff when I'm gone, and it's kind of weird to have, like, a zoom in. I don't know. It is kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know what? This scene is not looking good anymore. This was my warm-up scene. And what if we come in here and add, like, a glowing light? You know, just adjust the values very heavy-handedly. Some bright blue flowers. I mean, that's a lot, but we could do that. There we go. I like that. That's better, I think. It reads better. If I make it black and white, this is very, very gray. This reads a little better, I think. Most of these read pretty okay. I think. Obviously this doesn't, because this is nothing. A true shame that you don't have tea. Well, I did, but I drank it all. I start every stream with tea. Generally. What if I make big ol' shapes? Big shapes, circles. Maybe we do like form rendering, so we add some light to these big shapes. What tea? Oh, Earl Grey, probably. Or just some black tea. I think I have Earl Grey tea that I'll drink. Basically, I drink any variety or type and flavor of black tea. So I'll drink black tea with stuff in it, or plain black tea. I typically add a little bit of milk to it, whatever kind of tea that I am drinking. So yeah, a little bit of milk. I'm not too picky with tea, to be honest. But I do prefer black tea. Maybe it's because it has more caffeine. I don't know. Although there was a while back that I ran out of tea, and I never once got like a caffeine headache, so I don't think it's the caffeine. I seem to be okay. Like, and it was a few days. I went like 3 or 4 days without tea, and I was totally okay. So, in South Africa, we mostly drink black tea, but Rooibos is very popular. I don't know if I've ever had Rooibos. I know Skittle has mentioned it, and I tried to find it, but we don't carry it in the stores that I go to. I'm sure I could just order some online for cheap, but yeah, I don't think I've ever had Rooibos tea. It's just like a red tea, right? Like a reddish. I don't know if is it actually a black tea? It might be a black tea. I have no idea. Okay, I'm making weird chunky trees. Or are these trees? I don't know what I'm painting. You'll need to import? Well, I mean, yeah, but like a lot of tea's imported and we still don't have it. I don't know. It's not like we don't have it in the US. We definitely do. I'm pretty sure just at my store we don't, and I don't know a store that sells it. It's definitely a thing. I know it exists. Okay, the water is ready. I can go pour my tea now. I will do that. I have a Rooibos with sea buckthorn tea. Sea buckthorn tea. I don't know what that is. They definitely sell Rooibos in the US, but you might have to go out of your way to find it. Yeah, and also I live in like the middle of a wheat field. Also, Art Quilliam, hope you're doing well. So yeah, we, in our little podunk town in the middle of a wheat field, with probably not many people who drink tea at all. Yeah, we just don't have. I mean, I had to go out of my way to even find like an electric kettle because we don't. There isn't a big enough market for people to even have like electric kettles. Like that's like tea drinking is not as popular. It's like it is like you can still find people who drink tea, but it's not as you do have to kind of go out of your way to find certain things. I don't know if that's the word. Google Translate says it's a thing. Basically, an orange berry. Gotcha. Sea buckthorn tea. I don't know. It sounds fancy. Okay, what am I painting here? I don't know. But I'm gonna run away real quick, and I'm gonna go pour myself some tea. This will take just a moment. So back in a jiff. Back in a jiffy. Well, kind of. I'm still sitting down. Okay, now I return. Alrighty. Okie dokie. Ooh, I really like the way this art is going. Today, number 1 and 3 specifically. 1 and 3. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, so 1 was our starting one. 3, I really like 3. 3 I'm quite happy with. Don't know what we're doing with 6 right now. But yeah, we're just doodling. Today's stream is very chill. I'm kind of just like answering questions and rambling about various art topics. And then while we're taking a break from this, I think next stream I'll work on this a bit. Hey, Skittle, how's it going? I hope it's going well. It is going well. Today's a nice day. It's very chill. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Okay, I don't know. Do you guys celebrate Mother's Day, like, everywhere? Was that yesterday for everybody? Or is Mother's Day not the same day every day or everywhere? I don't know, but anyway, Mother's Day was yesterday, and so yesterday I hung out with my mom and ended up also seeing my brother, and it was pretty nice. And now today is just a chill day. Didn't have work, had the day off. Was for us okay. Mother's Day in the UK is back in March. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. So it's not the same for everybody. Interesting. I always wondered why. Like, how do different countries decide different days or different... I don't know. Never really got it. It was yesterday here in Germany. Okay. Nice. Good to know. I think Father's Day is the same day in the UK and US, though. That is confusing. Why would you have one of the days the same, and then the other one you don't? I don't get it. Okay, what am I doing here? I am gonna add some color dodge. Just putting some very bright colors. Playing around with colors right now. Don't have a plan in mind. In fact, for none of these I had a plan in mind. I like the colors though. In fact, this kind of makes me think of like the canopies of trees. A little bit. Third Sunday of June. What about the third Sunday of June? Oh, for Father's Day. Oh, is that how Father's Day is determined? I don't know. I can never remember. Like I don't forget those days, but only because I know when they're approaching, and then I just look up the date. But I can never remember like the third, whatever of June. I can never remember. I guess I do know that Mother's Day and Father's Day are always on Sundays, or at least I knew that Mother's Day is always on a Sunday. I didn't know Father's Day is always on a Sunday. I guess it makes sense. Same with like a Thanksgiving. I couldn't tell you what day a Thanksgiving is on. I know it's on Thursday, one of the Thursdays in November, but I couldn't tell you which one. Same with Easter. I never know when Easter is. I know it's one of the Sundays. Probably the second Sunday. Maybe? I don't know. Holidays are hard to remember. Do I like this? I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely some interesting stuff going on. These feel like big old flowers. Or I mean, I know that I said they look like canopies of trees, but now that I'm painting on them, they don't look like trees at all. It kind of gives like those weird fairy tale, like, this this feels like a fort or something. I don't know. What am I painting? shapes and color, I guess. Lots of green. Chrissy says, Father's Day, among other activities, used to always conflict with Portland's Pride celebrations. One of many reasons they moved Portland's Pride to July. Oh, interesting. They look like green proteas. I don't know what that is. What's a protea? That sounds like a bacteria. Protea. It's a flower. Images. It's like a funky looking flower. Is this what you meant when you said it looks like a protea? Is that what you meant? These types of flowers? It kind of looks like that. It's a plant. They big. Yeah, it kind of gives that vibe a little bit. I do like the leaves. The leaves are interesting. Look at those leaf shapes. They're like curled up and folded. Very interesting leaf pattern. Kind of gives you like the sort of, yeah, like little folded shapes and almost like a cabbage. Like, one is the size of your hand? Oh, interesting. Is that how they grow in nature? All dense and stuff? No idea. No idea. That would be a question for Google. I'll let you do the research. I don't do research on stream. Because I don't like tabbing out, because I swear it lags my computer. And every time I tab out, it's like a chance that my computer starts struggling and drops internet. Yeah, they grow like that, head, not hand. They're the size of your head. Oh, they're the size of your head. I mean, isn't your hand the size of your head? Got him. No, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're like similar size. But yeah, I misread completely. I don't know how I misread. Maybe like that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what this middle part is. Like, you know what? Let's just... Okay, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna paint a house. Not like paint a house like we're gonna paint the exterior of a house. We're gonna make a house. And we're gonna paint it. This. Here's our house. Maybe it's a bit reddish or a bit purple. And then now we can use the same colors that we already have to add like they undergo quite a change when blooming. Oh, interesting. Okay, so here's this, and then we get some shapes going that way. Maybe we do we want this part to be in light? We could do like bright light here. There are different types of proteas, some bundle up a little. Interesting. Okay, I don't know quite what I'm doing here, but I'm just making shapes, and I'm kind of liking it. We can add The house feels like it's tilted, though. Maybe we do that with the rows of stuff, kind of like we did in the other ones. Alright, study is done. Ooh, nice. Do you want to share? Don't feel like you have to, though, but I would love to see. I think I might pull out your actual sketchbook and do some pencil and paper sketch. Oh, that's awesome. The good old, real life art. No, the real life sketching, the traditional art. That's what I meant. I've made it sound like digital is fake art. Like, ah, yes, the real art. That pencil and paper stuff. None of that digital fake stuff. I say as a almost exclusively digital artist. The king protea is South Africa's national flower. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know what a protea was. That's cool. I don't know. Does the U.S. have a national? I mean, I'm sure they do. What is the U.S.'s national flower? Does anyone know off the top of their head without Googling it? And if you don't know, what would be your guess? Actually, yeah, this is a question to those who do not know. If you do know, don't say what it is. What is the U.S.'s national flower? Every state has a flower? Ooh. Do you know your state flower? I don't know my state flower. I don't know anything about our state's, like, national anything. Or state whatever, not national. Okay, what am I doing here? This is the most boring scene I've ever done. I think. Let's play around with... I think for New Mexico, it's the blue agave. Oh, it's the rhododendron. That makes sense. That's Washington? Wait, are you in Washington also? I feel like that could be the Washington one. If it's not the Washington one, I would be surprised. That sounds like it's Washington's. Oregon. Oh. Oh, okay, that makes more sense for Oregon, actually. Because, like, I know all along the coast they have... well, I was gonna dox my dad, but... yeah, no, where he lives, it's, yeah, lots of rhododendrons there. And he's in Oregon. No way I'm wrong, that's Washington? Oh, really? Okay. I mean, either way, there's lots of rhododendrons in Washington, but... The Oregon grape. I didn't even know that was a plant. What am I doing here? Ooh, let's do a backdrop of darker. So we'll darken this in the back because we want that contrast. So I'm gonna put a dark shadow here, and then we can put these light greens. I'm not liking this painting, but you know what? That's okay. They don't all need to be winners. Sometimes paintings are losers. That's insulting. Sorry, painting. You're not special. No, I don't know. This painting is not bad. I think we can turn it into something. Hold on. We will turn this painting into something. Just some simple shapes. Playing around with color, getting that blue, just nice blue sky that makes its way into all of the shadows, including the walls here. Joe, out of curiosity, are you seeing the links to your study? Oh, yes, I am. I'm just ignoring them on accident. It's not really ignoring them. Oh, these are so good! Look at these! That fist! Look at that. That is a mighty fist. That is that's a great reference. It has all, like, the strain of the... Like, the fingers where it gets, like, lighter. All the wrinkles. That's cool. You did a good job with that. That's one good-looking fist. Don't zoom in, it'll look like a hot mess. I don't know, still looks good to me. I'm jealous. Me too. You just, I like how you say don't zoom in, I immediately zoom in. I'm sorry. You tell me not to do something, and that just makes me want to do it even more. Does that make me childish? Probably. Probably not a good habit to be in. So I was like, don't do that, and I just take it as a personal challenge. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just making random shapes. Kinda like it. Not really. I don't know. I'm sure I can figure something out with this painting. You know what it needs? It needs some bright red. Maybe not. Ooh, I have an idea. This good old painting with the Lasso-Pool. Making some loop-de-loops. Maybe I should have kept the other shapes. Just making some swooshing shapes. Just some shapes that kind of carve through the scenery, the environment. I don't know, just kind of fun. Sort of surreal landscape shapes. I don't know, something. And then maybe down here we go a little grayer. And that gray will give the illusion of like warmer tones, like reds and stuff like that. Maybe little shapes like that. Maybe a little dormer window. No, house like that. I mean, could do like a dormer window, but maybe something like this, little triangle shape. Very, very simple. Maybe there's some stuff piled up on the next to the here. Just have some random things. I don't know what they are. Maybe this house has a little fountain, a water feature, if you will. Also good value separation. And this one? Thanks. Yeah, it's not bad. I think it... Yeah, I mean, like when I was painting, right, like you saw it when I made this bright roof, it took me a moment, but it was brighter at first, and then I had to go in and like, oh, let me add that dark shape behind it, right? And so I wasn't thinking about what is the dark shape. I mean, I knew pretty much immediately that it was going to be trees, but at first it was just like, oh, it was bright here. Let's add, oh, on the fifth step. Okay, not my art. Just kidding. You weren't complimenting me or my art. Yours is good. No. You were complimenting, okay, it wasn't me. You weren't talking about me. Sorry. Also childish, just thinking that everybody's talking about me. Let's add those darker values here. Trees or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm doing, to be honest. I'm just kind of making shapes, having fun. I kind of want to actually, let's do this. Giant mountain thing back here. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, don't quite know what's going on here, but this is a very weird plot of land. Very random circular shapes. What if we do something like this? Kind of following those shapes and the curves of the, well, one of the mountains, but something like that, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure I like where this is going. In fact, I think I've messed the values up a little bit, even more. The roof looks like it's reflecting... Oh, yeah, the roof is just... Also, yeah, why wouldn't this side be reflecting the sunlight? Like, what's going on with the sun? Also, where is the sun coming from? Shouldn't it be coming from... If it's coming from that way, wouldn't you get light here? I mean, maybe there's some light... You know, maybe there's some shadows reflecting up this way. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe we can do some heavy-handed color correcting. We can do like a multiply layer. And then, oh, that's not quite what I meant to do. I don't know. This is very, very something. I don't know. Kind of feel like I want some darker shapes in the midground here. Yeah, I don't know what the foreground is doing, which is fine. It's not bad. It makes it feel like a little bit of a rancher type thing. It's not terrible. Phantom more like Artem. What? Oh, that's the raid. How's it going? A creature, welcome in Phantom Knight. Welcome Raiders. I was like, what? Phantom more like Artem. Artem. How's it going, Phantom? How was your stream? What were you up to? I assume art. And would you like to share what you were doing? And those who are just coming in, welcome in. My name's Joe. I paint stuff. I've been doing these little sketches, doodles, thumbnails today. Just starting with random colors for a couple of them. Hot pink for this one, bright yellow for that one. The others, I'm just going with the flow. We're kind of doing a lazy day today. Minimal effort Mondays and all that, you know, just to take a break from our mermaid painting. Which we have worked on for 2 days, and it's at the point where I'm pretty sure I'm just going to start rendering it and paint a lot of little characters and stuff, which I don't normally do because characters are terrifying. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Do a lot of environments, a lot of sketching, color stuff. But yeah, welcome in. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're all having a good day. Been good. Played some Twilight Princess and some Apex. Nice. Did you win? Not Twilight Princess, but Apex. And also, hope you had fun. Hope everyone had fun. I've never played Twilight Princess. I'd like to. Never played Apex either. Art looks amazing. Thanks. Yeah, this is very much in my wheelhouse. A lot of spiky mountains, fields of flowers, very impressionistic, lots of blobs for, you know, if I want to make flowers, I'm literally just, like, putting blobs. There's a lot of blobbing in the way that I paint. Yeah, just literal splotches of color. And it's nice. I enjoy it. Yeah, it was loads of fun and totally was brave and not afraid of the water. Nice. It's good to be brave. You know what? I know you're joking, but this is one of the reasons why I think both video games and art appeal to me so much, is that they are like this... You don't have to be brave because they're like a thing that you do on your own and the stakes are pretty low. Like, they're not... you're not gonna lose, like, a bunch of money because you bought a bunch of supplies and... I mean, I guess you can with I guess maybe with digital art or with traditional art you can, but like it's not like you're buying hundreds of dollars of stuff and then, oh my gosh, my art was bad and I ruined it and I lost it all, or it's not like a business investment or a business decision, right? It's just like, it's basically just time. And there's sort of this, like, it's like a sandbox and you can play in and you can try stuff in video games and you can push yourself, and if you fail, that's okay, because you can, start over, or maybe you lose some time, but no biggie, It's sort of like the stakes are just so low, and I've always loved that about art and video games, where it's just a thing that I can do on my own, and you can improve at over time, or whatever. You don't have to improve. But yeah. Anyway, random tangent. Gotta head out. Cheers, peers. See you, Ronnie. Thanks for popping in. Glad you were here. I was gonna say, hope you were here, but no, you were here. Improvement is kind of inevitable, whether you mean to or not, to be honest. I think mostly I agree. I could get very nitpicky about this topic, but I do feel like learning how to learn is definitely a skill, and I think most people will learn to sort of a point in most things just by doing it. But I think most people, if you want to like truly excel at something, and I'm not saying I am there, but I think you will always hit like a plateau where like you will need to start really diving in to information in a way that isn't just like necessarily super obvious, or sometimes you have to think about things in a way that isn't going to come naturally to you because it's a little bit unintuitive. I definitely think it's... I don't... Like with video games, for example, if you look at like competitive games, there are people who play all the time, and they're never going to be playing at that level. They're never going to be as good as sort of the pros are because they just don't treat it like that, right? Even if they try to win super hard, they're not going to be as good because they don't really study it, right? They play. They just play for fun, and that's totally valid and that's totally fine. But yeah, obviously, if you've never played a game, you're gonna be worse at it than someone who has been playing for years. And same with art. If you've been doing art for years, you're gonna be far better than someone who just started. But I do think there is a point where it's not so much about the time, it's more about like the quality of the time. I don't know. It's a tricky topic for me, because on one hand, you obviously, the first step is just to like do the thing, and if you want to get good at art, you just do art, and hopefully you enjoy it, and if you enjoy it, you will do more of it, and therefore you will probably get better. And most of the time, you will be better than someone who hasn't done much of it. But I think the quality of the practice, or how you do it, it definitely matters at a certain point. But typically it's not like... I don't know. It's a big topic. There's so many ifs, ands, and buts. It's not about the time, it's about the journey along the way. Yeah, I mean, that's an abstract way of saying it, but yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think it's like, learning how to learn will make your journey a different journey than if you don't know how to learn, right? And I think learning how to learn is a big thing. But yeah, there's a lot of nuance and exceptions and caveats and things that I'm not, haven't dived into. It's because I do think that sometimes there is sort of that misconception of like, I mean, that's what like deliberate practice is, right? It's not just doing an activity. Performing a thing is not the same as practicing a thing. I mean, yes, you're practicing the motions that you already know when you're doing something. Like if I just paint, I am technically practicing the motions that I already know. So you're sort of ingraining them. But if you're not doing good motions, then you could be practicing bad habits, and you could be actively like solidifying a thought process that maybe isn't very efficient, right? And that's something that happens with like, well, pretty much any activity, but especially like physical activities, where if you do a thing with like bad form enough, it's really, really hard to break out of it. I know that's like a big thing in like gymnastics, where like you try to learn like how to do a back handspring, but you start twisting in the middle of it. Once you've done it with that twist, it's so hard to stop that motion because your body is doing the only thing it knows how to do, and it's like you've practiced a thing the wrong way, and to break it is extremely difficult. And I think that can happen with art. It can happen with just mental thought processes. It's learning is fascinating. It's one of those things I love, like the topic of like the science of learning and all the different studies people have done to understand how the human brain works and learns new things and practices and breaks skills down into smaller bits. And yeah, it's cool. Just doing it will improve your muscle memory, your control, your problem solving, but I do think if you want to get like pro levels, you need to focus on your study. Yeah. I mean, I think most people will. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I more or less agree with you. Cow.js, it like not using guides for years when you're actually have to learn to get better. You got to unlearn muscle memory of where to place things. Yeah, like if you're trying to draw like ellipses, or I don't know how to say ellipses in perspective, and you have a muscle memory for how to draw them, but you've never actually like gone in and made sure it's totally accurate. You will have to like relearn how to draw a circle that's flat, you know? Like it's yeah, like I know I have muscle memory of things that are just wrong, and not wrong, but like, you know, not very, probably not the way that I would want to do it. With art, it's very different though. Yeah, there's bad form you can cultivate, I guess, but the plateau comes from getting caught up in a certain perspective. Yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly the way of like more information, right? Like doing a bunch of art, your plateau isn't gonna be. Well, I mean, I think the repetition, I'm not talking so much muscle memory, like not literal muscle memory, but more like mental muscle memory, right? Like if every time you see a problem, you jump to certain types of solutions. It's very hard to not then think of those solutions, even when you try to then learn a better types of solution, because you're like mentally, once you get in the flow, because a lot of art's automated, right? There's so many things you're juggling, you have to automate some stuff, right? And so those solutions are also that stuff, right? The way that you solve a problem when your perspective is wrong might be to solve it in a very particular way. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. It's like, yes, I think a lot of times the struggle comes from like not knowing what the other options are, but you're still practicing the one option you do know, which again, it may not even be a bad option, right? It might be a totally good way of doing it. It's just because it's limiting, because it's your only way of knowing how to do it, that, you know, your paintings might all look kind of samey. It's one of the reasons why, like, yeah, well, actually, I don't know what I'm going to say, but yeah, I find this is true in also in like competitive video games. Like typically it's not like, oh, you just gotta try harder, right? There's typically some information, things you didn't know, you know? You never thought about, you know, certain types of things that other people know. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but there's I have a very a good example from the game I play, but it's way too specific and it's not gonna make sense, so it's probably not worth saying. But it's basically, yeah, there's just stuff that, like, I imagine it's like, I think poker would be a good example, I feel like, because in poker, most people already kind of know what poker is, but, like, there are things where there's concepts that you can think of that you might not be aware of. Like, most people would at least understand that you could memorize, like, certain odds of hitting certain cards, depending on which cards are shown and which cards you have. You know, like, you could probably memorize tables of odds and percentages, but there's also things like, you know, what odds are your opponent placing on the thing based on what they have, right, without your information. And so what would they do? You know, like I'm not good at poker, so I don't know, but there's like, there might be ways of thinking about things or information that you just had never even thought to even look up or calculate for yourself or whatever. Like, there's just it's just random. Yeah, it's just a different perspective. It's kind of like logical fallacies. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of, like, ways of thinking in art and in just any activity where, like, yeah, you do think in sort of a bad way. I don't know. That's getting too abstract, though. No one's gonna. I would have to bust out some real examples, and I'm too tired to think of any. But yeah, like, I think some of my favorite examples in art are, like, just different solutions to common problems, and how most people probably have especially in, like, values of, like, anytime you have let's say you have something that doesn't read right, you know, let's say you, like everybody knows, like, the common tropes, like birds for scale. You know, if you have a house here, you know, you stick a bird in here, and it's like, oh, now you kind of know the scale of the thing. But you could also show a human, right? That's another scale. You could put a human. You could also put multiple things that are all probably the same size. So, like, just putting a flower doesn't tell you if it's a giant flower, right? Like, you don't know if this is a giant flower or not. But if you also put a giant bird, well, that's more, to me, that's leaning towards the house is small, right? If you also put a giant human, again, more evidence that the house is small, right? Like, the more number of things that are normal sized, then you sort of, like, it's not always just like, oh, put a bird for scale, right? Maybe the bird is also large. Maybe the flowers are, right? And so sometimes you have your go-to solutions, but maybe you want to sort of, I don't know, like, intentionally break that. That's not anything to do with fallacies, but that's just, like, you getting stuck in a way of thinking that is not the only solution. Or if something is, like, you know, you might have something like this, and you're like, you know, oh, these values are too similar. I'm going to lighten the background, right? That's one way, but, like, you could also darken the foreground, right? And that would add more contrast. And both of them are going to add different effects, but, like, that's two solutions. But you could also do something where, like, maybe it's not darkening one thing or the other, but maybe you, you know, just add light on one edge because you're going to light it in one way, and then on the other edge you're going to add the darker value. So you're kind of doing both, right? You're not just making one darker or one lighter, but you're kind of doing a combination of both, right? So that's another way. But then you also have things like, you know, saturation. What if you kept the value the same, but these were very, very gray? Or let's do the opposite. Right? These were very gray, and this was super duper vibrant. You know, like that, the value might be the same or nearly the same, right? But, like, they might stand out a little more. So, like, there's lots of ways to add contrast that isn't just, let me change the color, or let me change the temperature, or let me change the saturation. But you also have things like, lighting your scene in a different way. And it's just very easy to get stuck in doing one way. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Also, why are my lines broken down here? You know what? I'm kind of tired. Do I end stream a little early? I know I haven't been live that long. But no, I think with art, there is a lot of like thinking about random crap and learning kind of how to think about stuff and struggles to solve that. I don't know. Art's interesting. Definitely makes you be a little like introspective about random topics. You gotta rest and take care of yourself? Yeah, I should probably rest. I'm pretty tired. My brain is exhausted just thinking about stuff and painting and talking and reading chat and no shame in ending early. There's a little shame in ending early. There shouldn't be shame in ending early, but I still feel the shame. There shouldn't be shame, but I think I feel it. I don't like ending early. I like to, you know, when I say I'm going to stream for 3 hours or 4 hours, I like to stream for the full time. I don't like to just, I'm going to... I find that I get... I'm a type of person who I can get very complacent. And if I am not careful, when I, you know, if I quit early one day, I'm much more likely to quit early another day, right? It's like, oh, well, I've had a taste of, like, how easy it is just say, oh, I'm done for the day. And then I don't have, like, formulate any, or I don't, like, form any sort of, like, discipline around my habits. And I find for myself that is not a good habit to be in. Like, I like to, in some ways, stick to that schedule and be like, I'm gonna do this thing. Because it's very easy for me to slip into, like, a lack of discipline. Because it's, like, it's so simple to just, I'm not gonna do it. And so I kind of like the, you know, I don't really feel like it, I'm a little tired, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. And I sort of, I don't know. I don't know if that's healthy or unhealthy or what have you, but that's something that I've noticed with myself a little bit. Wait, what am I doing? Let's do this. It's a balance. It is a balance. Yeah, it's a balance. That's fair. Gotta be self-disciplined, but at the same time, you shouldn't push through it. Oh, you know, I mean, I've been alive for like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. Not even 3 hours. I don't think my health is be at a detriment because I'm streaming. It's more just I'm tired and probably the quality of stream goes down because I'm probably saying stupid stuff and not making a lot of sense. I don't think it's at the detriment of my health. Probably at the detriment of my stream. Which, you know, there is an argument that I should, if something, you know, once stream quality starts dropping in terms of, like, my conversation skills, I should probably just stop. Don't worry about that. Oh, it's like a fine thing to worry about. I like worrying about that stuff. Same with art, right? I like worrying about, like, is what I'm doing good or not. You know, if you're not making good choices in art, might as well just call it quits and come back tomorrow, you know? Okay, I like these thumbnails, though. These are nice. We're gonna make some numbers here. 1, 2, nope, wait, hold on. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There, little numbers. And now we're just going to keep painting. We're going to polish some of these up. Doodle on them a bit. These kind of have like a bioluminescent vibe. A little bit. Sort of glowing. Glowing flowers and plants. These vibrant blues. Kind of like them. Some of these greens, though, I think maybe I want to bring in some more grays in here to make the tree trunks look a little bit more brown. So it has like a brown and green, or brown and blue into the green. Kind of like red. I guess like RGB. Sort of red, green, blue. Oops. It's not bad. I think I like that. Kinda. Adding some of those darker blues near the ground. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So yeah, I think in next stream, I'm going to end up working more on this. I didn't work much on it. I know one thing for sure that I'm going to do next time I work on this is take their legs and delete them. No, and move them this way. Like that. Kind of scratch, because right now their body feels very long. I might also make their legs shorter like this. But basically, I'm just going to smush them a little bit. They feel very long. I don't know. Maybe that's not right. Maybe they aren't that long. But they feel very long. And then this part's short. So there's some proportion things. But mostly it's going to be just like polishing up. You know, making sure that we see less of the underside of this. And then more of the underside up here. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff. Just making things being a little more, you know, clean and tight. Just kind of honing in the details. You know, polishing up the, you know, like the characters. Making them kind of have, you know, some details. Probably paint their ears. You know, I don't know if we'll do much ear detail. But we'll do, like, you know, just add a little bit of detail here and there. Very minimal, but still more on the characters than the rest. And then I think just mostly, like, polishing stuff up. Like, this right now, if you look, kind of zoom in, like, there's just a lot of, like, random hard edges here and soft edges that make no sense. Like, what is all this mess? It's just because when I was painting, I you know, moved things around, cut, paste, and so... Oven mitts next stream. Yeah, all the oven mitts. No, we'll have to deal with all their hands. Some of them probably won't. You won't still see their hands. But you know, even just little like shapes. You know, like this, where you just a little triangle would work. You know, if this is a character lounging. Again, we have people with feet, which will be like flippers. So their feet are going to be surprisingly oven mitt shaped. Most of them will have fish legs or fish tails. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. That's probably going to be next stream. So next Thursday will probably be that. But yeah, this is definitely a piece I want to finish before the end of the month. Because this is my one... It's been a while since I've finished anything. Mostly I just do a lot of thumbnails like I did today. And I don't really work on anything. You know, sometimes I'll work on a painting till the end of stream. So I'll do like a one and done painting kind of thing. But it still ends up being very loose. It's not like a finished painting. So. But it's nice. I enjoy the thumbnails. I enjoy just talking about art and processes and stuff that isn't, you know, just rendering and, you know, noodling on characters and cleaning things up. So. But yeah. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. My next stream, as I just mentioned, will be on Thursday. And if you'd like to follow me, you can. wherever you might be. And I also have a Patreon if you want to support me further. I have a patreon.com/jstiller30. Don't feel like you have to, though. There's also some like additional content, kind of, sort of, like little write-ups and process stuff and talking about art stuff that I write up in slightly a more cohesive way than my rambles on stream. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We're gonna go and find somebody to raid, and I'm gonna take a nap probably because I am tired.